So I just saw the Banshees of Inisherin. I say I just saw it. I saw it like 2 weeks ago, not in a movie theater, on HBO Max, and it was really good. I don't know where I rank it now because I'm kind of torn between this one and Puss in Boots as my number two so far for the year. But I'm going to be seeing a lot more, and that could change a lot. So maybe I shouldn't bring up any sort of ranking until I've actually seen everything I want to see. I loved this one. It's by the same director of Three Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri, which was not only my favorite 2017 movie, but just one of my favorite movies of all time. It's a very good character film. You follow a bunch of people who are not necessarily good people, but they are interesting people. They have some redeeming qualities, but also some just like terrible qualities about them. Not the happiest movie, but it does have a good sense of humor. I'd say that's the exact same thing with this one. A lot heavier on the humor side, I'd say, in this movie. I think that Three Billboards has some genuinely depressing stuff in it, and that's not absent from this movie. But I would say, like, the comedy is one of the things that helped me. I watched it with my dad. Both of us stay very invested. We both enjoyed it quite a bit. And it's very simple. It's a very simple movie. Because, you know, if you don't want any, like, if you don't even want a description of what the movie's about, click out, because I recommend it, but here I go. I'm not going to spoil much about it, but it's basically just a guy has an older friend. They've been friends basically their entire life. And one day he goes up to try to talk to him and he just doesn't like him anymore. And the rest of the movie is him trying to find out why he doesn't like him anymore and trying to, like, he's trying to force the friendship to stay alive because he doesn't understand why it's happening. And even when he does kind of once he's given a reason to why it's happening, it still doesn't, like, work for him, because it's a very weird thing to have happen, just to have one day you go up to someone who you were close with, now they're being very cold to you for absolutely no reason. That alone is kind of funny, that just the entire film's about that. I do think that there's something to say about stubbornness in this movie, with just how far this character goes to avoid talking to his old friend. The movie does escalate. It escalates slowly, but it escalates. And also just the idea of just the fact that some friendships don't last forever, some relationships don't last forever, people grow apart, and sometimes it seems like it happens for no reason. I'd say there's a little bit of merit to the story. I'd say there's a little bit of meaning behind it. But I'd say that the number one thing that keeps me invested in this one is both the amazing performances and, again, the great sense of humor. I was laughing a lot during this movie. But I wasn't, like, you know, I wasn't just laughing at it. I was genuinely invested in these two. And again, like, so little is happening, but I was still so invested. This did not feel like a slow movie at all. It's almost 2 hours long, and it's mainly just back and forth conversations. But they're all so engaging and they're all so well written. And again, there's just a lot of jokes thrown in, and I love it a lot. I love it a lot, and it's a high recommendation for me. Going for a 9 out of 10. I don't think it'll go to 10 out of 10 just because, while I do love it, I think that what it's focusing on is a lot more simple than something like Three Billboards, which would be a perfect 10 out of 10 for me. I think the only thing I could say about that movie that isn't perfect is that CG deer, and that does not ruin it enough for me to take it down from a 10. Where in this one, I think it's executing everything it's doing perfectly, so in that way it's a 10. But just in terms of, like, where I want to rank my favorite movies of all time, this isn't one of them, but I loved it. I'm looking forward to watching it again, and I would highly recommend it. Great sense of humor, great cinematography. I don't necessarily think you need to see this one in theaters. The setting is beautiful. The shots are beautiful. They make Ireland look so fucking nice in this movie. So I'd say check it out for that. Like, if you have a chance to see it in theaters, it's worth seeing on the big screen, but it's not like Puss in Boots, like, for example. I would definitely say go see that in theaters, because it's like a visual spectacle, while this and, like, The Whale, for example, I just reviewed that one too, you could watch it at home and get a good experience with it. Like, there's some value I think there's value to seeing any movie on the big screen, but it's not necessarily one that you have to see in theaters, I would say. Great movie. Moving on.